He was one of the most influential musicians to have ever picked up a microphone. In a very short amount of time, he would leave an undeniable mark on the music industry and the entire world as a whole. He was a controversial, yet beloved figure with many different sides to him. He could make listeners cry in an instance, or cause them to rage in another. Unfortunately, his life would be cut short before he was able to reach his full potential. Let's take a look back at the music icon that was Tupac Shakur, and find out what actually happened to the rap legend. Growing up, Shakur experienced what most children never would in their upbringing. His lens on life and the world around him developed earlier than most kids, and he was just a sponge soaking it all in. Tupac learned what real poverty was as a child before he could count to 10. His family was filled with Black Panthers, social activists, but he was too surrounded by drug addiction at an early age. With such a unique perspective, Shakur often would express his thoughts and feelings by writing heartfelt poems. As he grew older, other artistic avenues eventually caught his eye. His mother thought it would be a good idea if he attended a school that focused on developing more of this creative side. Tupac, shortly after the motivational push, auditioned to be a student at the Baltimore School for the Arts. After showcasing his talent to the administration, he was accepted by the school with open arms. Being surrounded by students that shared the same artistic passion, his new environment became a breath of fresh air. His personality shifted and he became more positive and easygoing in his new surroundings. Shakur was even able to make what would be a lifelong friendship with a future star at the school.
Very good, so was I must say word. We hit McDonald's, pulled into the drive and ordered 2 Big Macs and 2 large fries. She kicked the shoes off onto the floor. She said, "Try fast, speed turns me on." She put her hand on my knee, I put my foot on the gas. We almost got whiplash.
The enthusiastic team was able to gain a wealth of knowledge when it came to acting, writing poetry, and music production from the classes that were being offered. He combined many of these teachings to develop into quite the talented school artist. Despite Shakur excelling in the artistic school and also enjoying the new environment, his mother was still struggling to keep their heads above water. The family was once again forced to relocate in hopes to find more affordable living. Leaving behind his friends and the very beneficial art school to his development was a big blow to Shakur. But greener pastures was near. Tupac and his mom would end up in the sunny state of California. Soon after arriving to the West Coast, he dropped out of a traditional high school and he began to take rap much more serious than ever before. In California, Shakur made a few new relationships with the right people. His new acquaintances led him to being hired as a tour roadie for the group Digital Underground. Not only was Shakur learning the ins and outs of the music business, he also put himself in a great position to stretch his acting muscles. When he was simply tasked with driving a member of the group to a movie audition, Tupac ended up auditioning too on a whim. After getting just 15 minutes to prepare for the role, he was ready to go. He was able to impress the producers and was quickly cast to play Bishop in a film called Juice. Digital Underground gave him another big opportunity, allowing him to be a feature on their new single titled Same Song. The musical number would be a part of an upcoming movie soundtrack. In the very short verse, he made quite the impression, and many started to wonder, just who is this kid dominating the track? Being an unsigned artist and having this sort of a unique presence on the song, Interscope decided to quickly snatch up the young talent and sign him to a contract. Shakur's debut album on the label touched on a variety of topics, from social activism all the way to living the chaotic street life. When the solo project released at the end of 1991, it was very well received by the music critics across the board. The album featured a number of notable hit singles that touched the heart of listeners. To add a cherry on top of the recent success, a few months after the album hit store shelves, his movie Juice released in theaters worldwide. Once again, Tupac received a great deal of praise for his artistic work. Shakur was a certified scene stealer in the film, playing the somewhat likable psychopath Roman Bishop in the very engaging thriller.
You know what? When you said that last time, I was kind of tripping, right? But now, you're right. I am crazy. But you know what else? I don't give a fuck.
Things were moving rapidly for the emerging star, in both movies and with his music. He was the definition of a workhorse, constantly staying busy and creating something the world could appreciate. More albums and films released in a very short amount of time, making him a bona fide star and a fan favorite among music listeners. However, as quickly as things rise, they can indeed fall. In 1993, he was accused of sexual assault after a late-night hotel visit from a fan.
You complain something like that up, though, what?
Why would she make something like that up? Because hell have no fury like a woman scorned. You know what I'm saying? I'm guilty of a lot of things. I'm guilty probably of being a male chauvinist pig. I'm guilty of probably not caring as much as I should. I'm guilty of not spending enough time with people like I should. But I'm not guilty of rape. Just because I don't want to be with that girl don't mean that she has the right to say that I did all of these things that I didn't do. You know what I'm saying? Just because, I mean, of course I can't spend my life with all the girls that I spend time with. But I'm not married. You know what I'm saying? That's not a crime for me to be promiscuous. It's not a crime for me to be with any girl I want to be with. It's a crime for that girl to turn that into a rape charge.
While this case was being handled in the courts, Shakur also found himself in a life-threatening situation as well. While visiting New York to record new music at a very popular recording studio among high-profile artists, upon arriving to the establishment, 3 men robbed and beat Tupac in the lobby and then shot the rapper 5 times. He was taken to the hospital to receive treatment, but quickly checked himself out of medical care against the staff's advice. A few days later, Tupac had apparently recovered enough to appear in court to hear the verdict regarding the sexual assault case. Shakur was acquitted of 3 counts of sodomy, but he was still convicted of 2 counts of first-degree sexual abuse for forcibly touching the woman's rear end. After the abnormal conviction, he was unable to post the hefty $3 million for bail. Shakur would have to spend the following months in jail, waiting for his official sentencing to be handed down. Being stuck in a cell for several hours a day, he had much more time to think about the shooting incident that occurred. Despite still serving his time behind bars, Shakur's 3rd studio album would be released for the world to consume. With all the publicity surrounding the superstar, the project sold nearly 250,000 copies the first week, and it debuted at number 1 on the Billboard charts. The album's lead single was able to pull the heartstrings of millions of listeners around the globe. As the very menacing Suge Knight was building up his music label Death Row, he saw a golden opportunity with the rapper who was in need of assistance. He decided to proposition the superstar with an offer he couldn't refuse. In exchange for $1.4 million to bail him out of prison, Shakur would agree to a 3-album deal with Death Row. Fans would see Shakur undergo a major transformation in his career going forward. With his new music, he leaned much more into the gangster rap side than ever before. He was more aggressive, more hardened, and up for almost anything, including feuds with other artists. Shakur went on to ignite a hip-hop beef with New York's Biggie Smalls, who he had befriended a few years prior. Shakur speculated that some individuals a part of Bad Boy may have indeed played a key role in him getting shot 5 times. He would suggest it all was a setup orchestrated by Smalls and Sean Combs. Following the interview, Tupac would release one of the most brash diss tracks of all time. On the infamous song, he took aim at multiple New York artists, especially targeting Bad Boy. The East versus West rivalry became the biggest public spat in hip-hop history. As the tension continued to build, fans began picking sides, while Bad Boy and Death Row made major profits behind the scenes. This would mark a turning point for Shakur, falling knee-deep in the gang lifestyle. He became a target, and a much bigger one than before. Things would come to a head on the night of September 7 of 1996. After attending a Mike Tyson bout in Las Vegas, Tupac and other death row associates were filmed on camera, involved in a brutal altercation taking place in the MGM Grand Hotel. Shortly after leaving the public brawl, Tupac and Knight would go for a drive. While at a stoplight on a very calm road, their car would take gunfire from another vehicle. Shakur, sitting in the passenger seat of the vehicle, would be struck multiple times from the unknown assailants. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. On arrival, Shakur was put on life support, and he needed to be heavily sedated. Many thought he would be able to recover once again and be back making new songs very soon. But to the surprise of many that speculated on his health, 6 days after the shooting took place, Shakur was pronounced deceased from internal bleeding.
Every Indian, please take your head off. At 7:03 p.m. New York time, 4:03 p.m. Las Vegas time, Tupac Shakur passed away, y'all.
The sad announcement would send shockwaves throughout the world, as he was able to touch so many people over the years. Hip-hop fans still widely consider Tupac to be one of the greatest rappers of all time. His music and personas left a massive impact that would influence future generations of music listeners and aspiring artists. But what are your thoughts on this story? Were you a Tupac fan? Do you think he is the greatest rapper of all time? Leave a comment below and let me know.